Hey everybody, it's MedTech67 again. Today we are working on a 2017 Ford Transit. This is the 3.7 liter naturally aspirated, so not EcoBoost. It first came in for a coolant leak. Surprise, surprise, it's a Transit. Once I popped the hood on this thing, I see that I've replaced literally every dadgum coolant hose this thing has once already. Again, surprise, surprise. But it looks like the water pump's leaking. And then when I went to go look at the front cover, boy howdy, is that leaking too. Not real often, the 3.7s make the really bad front cover leak. Sometimes they'll seep. This one's sitting at 161,000 miles and it's got a pretty good front cover leak. So we've already recovered the refrigerant, because to reseal the front cover, you do need to drop the radiator and AC condenser assembly. I don't think, don't quote me, I'm sure there's somebody out there, a mechanical MacGyver, who can do it. But I don't know how to drop the AC condenser and radiator assembly without unhooking the AC condenser. It might be able to be done. I don't know. We're not going to take off the grill and all that, just so I can show you that you don't have to do all that. It sure is really easy to get in there if you get the core support and all that out of the way. It's just more parts to take off. So all we're going to do is we're just going to drop the radiator and the AC condenser assembly, get all the coolant hoses out of the way. We are going to take off that headlight over there. It sure makes getting to hooking up the transmission cooler a whole lot easier. We might even take out this headlight. It does give you a little bit more room. And then we also have to take off pretty much everything on top of the engine. So that's going to be intake, at least the upper intake anyway. Both valve covers, because we got to reseal that front cover and those valve covers are attached to it. We'll take out the harmonic balancer, the power steering pump will get unhooked, the alternator will get unhooked, the AC compressor will get unhooked. All that's going to be set to the side. So it's a pretty in-depth job. It's quite a bit of a big job to tackle in your driveway, but it can be done. So follow along and we're going to get started with it. So we're going to get the refrigerant lines unhooked here. It's always a good idea to record how much refrigerant and oil that you took out of the system if you're not replacing any components. So we'll know that when we recharge it, we at least need to put 2.57 pounds back in it and 0.2 ounces of fluid. That way we don't lose any, or oil, that way we don't lose any oil. So Tyler's going to get those unhooked right now, and we will get this headlight out and start unhooking the radiator. So if you don't know, taking out the headlights on these trucks gives you a whole lot of room that you wouldn't normally have. Pop, there you go. I can tell you right now, these are almost always broken, or they'll break when you go to take them off. Yep, just like that. That always snaps off. But they hold themselves there pretty well. If you want to, you can put a zip tie up underneath that to hold it in, but these almost always break, so don't feel bad if it breaks when you go to take it off. As you can see there, that gives you a whole lot more room to get in there, and what we need to get to are these two bolts right here to unhook the tranny cooler. That's your transmission cooler right there. And then this hose right here can stay hooked up. See if I can get that good. This hose right here can stay hooked up, but we do need to unhook this guy right here. And then we need to unhook the radiator hose that is right here. That's easier to get to from underneath. And then you will need to unhook this plastic guy. I'm telling you right now, if you've never replaced it, just go ahead and order one, and don't be surprised if you snap it when you take it off. This one we have replaced twice now, I think, and it's still pretty bendy, but I still would not be surprised if it snaps right off when we go to take it off. But you're going to unhook it from right over there, and then you might have some wires and whatnot secured to your radiator assembly. You're going to want to unhook those. And then these two connectors right here, you're going to want to take them off. I can't do that one-handed, but these are your fans. Take those guys off. Once you get all that done, you want to zip tie your fans up here. Tyler looks like he hooked them to the hood switch. You can just go to anything solid up here.
No, it's not on the switch.
The whole point is it's supporting your fans. That way when you take off that bracket on the bottom, your fans don't fall down and smack you in the face. And then all you have to do is snip the zip ties and the radiator drops straight out the bottom. And that'll give you the room you need to work on the front here, resealing that front cover. So we're going to do all that real quick. So So, ratcheting wrench is your friend here. These have Loctite on them, if I'm not mistaken. If you're doing a transmission flush, this is where you also access to get in line on your transmission. Tyler's going to slip a pan underneath here in a little bit. That way when these lines come off, it'll catch some of the transmission oil. Check out Tyler's Geordie LaForge headlamp that he's got going on here.
Very comfortable.
He really likes it. Show him the wavy wave function. I think that's kind of gimmicky. I didn't know you could turn it off. That's the whole reason I didn't get it. I don't think he really uses it much because if you wave your head next to something,
It turns it off.
it turns it off, which is kind of annoying.
It is.
But I thought that was the only way to turn it on. I was like, I don't want that. That's stupid.
With it off and just on like this, most comfortable headlamp I've ever had.
It is pretty nice. It sticks, you know, it only sticks off your head like, you know, 1/4 of an inch. So, all right, we're just going to leave those hooked up there for right now. All we have to do is pull on them. And then we're going to get this hose clamp right there. So those pain in the butt things, here, lean back, Tyler. The clamp, when it was put in, was put right up against the trans cooler.
You're in the Alright, let go. Maybe look. I think I got it.
Everybody knows that it's common practice to have to use 2 freaking people to take off a hose clamp. 2 people, 3 different sets of pliers. Here, I got you. Move your hand. Well, just because you squeeze those tabs doesn't mean it's going to go, but I'm going to have to put the camera down to get this. But you squeeze both those tabs and pull it off that. Be careful how much you crank on it, because if you crack that nipple right off of that radiator, it's new radiator time. So you remember how I said this line will be really brittle? I wasn't kidding. Even though we've replaced this a few times, it snapped, as you can see right there. I just wanted to stay right there and show you. This stuff, it just gets super brittle. This is the second time this line's been replaced in 160,000 miles, and
Needs it again.
as you can see here, it turns super brittle. We're going to go ahead and take off this headlight so we can get to this radiator hose easier.
Not fun. I have the thing plugged in.
Just going to pop this air duct out of the way. And we'll go ahead and take off this top air duct. Do you have a 7 out already? We're going for this clamp right here. As you can see, that's a lot easier done with that headlight out of the way. There's our remote clamp to it. In there with these from Lyle, not a sponsor.
You like cooler if you were.
They only like to lock and stay locked if they're ready to eat some flesh. If there's not a finger in front of them,
Hey, I got that figured out, remember?
they don't like to lock. Oh, now unlocked. Still, be wary. Alright, so now we're gonna go underneath. We got 2 more hoses to take off. And then we can drop that radiator right out the bottom and it'll really give us a lot more room. So as you can see here, like I said, nasty front cover leak. It's bad. You don't usually see them that bad. Tyler's already taken off the power steering belt. It did not throw it itself. And as you can see, we already have our plastic valence panel out of the way. I had taken all that off and I was like, you know what, we really need to do a video on this. So we're going to get that radiator hose, I think, right there taken off from that clamp. We're going to undo that hose from the transmission cooler. We'll pop off our 2 transmission cooler lines. After that, we remove 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and don't worry, since we zip tied our radiator, is not going to smack the crap out of us. Oh, but wait, there's more. See this bolt coming through right here? We got to get this guy. It's a T30. It comes from the top side. It's a major pain in the butt. You have to reach up in there with a short ratchet and a T30 bit and zip that thing out of there, or else you will not be able to get it out because it's tied to your AC lines right here. Screw that guy. Now we got that guy out of the way. We can get there to that radiator clamp, which is put in the wrong orientation because Ford hates us. And then we'll get that other hose right above it, right there, taken care of. So that is all our radiator hoses. So now we will just zip out those 4 bolts. You got that guy. Oh crap. Oh yeah. So I forgot to say that on this bar there are a few plastic clips. There's one right there, and one right there. Total pain in the butt. If you want to make it real easy, just use a pair of wire cutters, snip them, and replace them. Because, yeah, your bar won't come down until you take those off. Carabiner marine tie. Sometimes when necessary. Just bait it until it does what you want to. They're real easy to get to if you take the whole front fascia off, and it's really not too hard to take the front fascia off. But that's one, focus. That's one AC nut right there for the AC line. The other one faces the opposite direction. Let's see if I can, it's behind that line there. So take that top one off first. You can get to it with a long extension. Oh my God, focus. Right there. You can get to it, long extension right there. Drop this big line out of your way. Don't forget to unhook your high side pressure switch right there, so this line will drop down and out of your way. It's got a flexible end, you can bend it, and then that'll make it a lot easier to get to that other one. Once those two are unhooked, this whole assembly can drop down right on your face. Just gotta fish it around it. There we go. Let's fish that line down and around. Don't forget to tape it up. It's gonna be apart for a bit.
All right. Yours. Clear.
Now you can see how bad our front cover is leaking. That is pretty bad. Looks like a lot's coming from that crank seal. Film you. Tyler's already loosened a lot of this up. I don't know why he took this off. I guess he got overzealous. All we have to do is just unplug that guy. We do need to unplug all the evap lines here. He's already got all pretty much all that loose. Apparently I almost took one of his bolts. Once we get all that loose, and don't forget this bracket right here which supports the upper half of the intake, we'll get the upper half of the intake out of the way. There's one wire right back there, that's your map sensor. We've got to get that guy. It's got a locking tab that can be a bit of a pain in the butt. Tyler's already got that loose. And then we'll get this upper intake out of the way. hanging on something back there.
No.
Oh, you're gonna need a trim tool there. Alright, so right away after you get that out of there, get you some paper towels and stuff it down into each one of your intake holes. That way you don't go dropping any solids down there. Don't allow anything loose around here until you get that done. Alright, so now it's a matter of focusing and getting your lock tabs back on all your coils and popping off all of them. All of this wiring harness has to come off. So that's your VVT solenoids, all your intake or all your ignition coils. All that's going to have to come out because, like I said, both valve covers have to come off. So Tyler's going to work on that. I don't see any point in videotaping at all. So come back when we get that done. Make sure you use a trim tool to get these little plastic guys up and out of the valve cover. Don't be surprised if even then they still break. But if you use a trim tool, usually they'll come out for you. Trick is you can't go torquing on them too much. Just kind of use them to lift. Whew. That was a little bit more violent than I intended. Apparently Tyler can't get that one done. Let's see if I can embarrass him and get it one-handed.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of pop all your ignition coils out. As you can see, like I said, we replaced almost every coolant hose on this thing. Go ahead and pop all the focus, keepers, the safety tabs for the injectors. Hope you're alright. Short extension. Hey, drop all your tools. That's an important thing to do once you're a professional.
Yeah, because snap-on sockets.
Uh-oh. The truck owns a ratchet now.
No, it don't. You can have the socket.
What's up?
Looks like it was catching up there.
You're all good news. Just hold. Oh, there you go, Valkyrie. Oh, that should look cleanliness wise. Oh, it looks like one of our trucks. I do want to get a rag in there before I pull that gasket off because it looks like a little bit of dirt may try to hop down into the valve cover there. Make sure you cover your cams and all that up. You don't go dropping any dirt down into the engine. And then we just do a repeat of driver's side on the passenger side and get that other valve cover off. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Give all your hoses a twist to try to break them loose. You get all of these guys out of the way. Have a drain pan down there. I'm sure there's going to be some coolant left. But you're going to need to get it off of both sides of the housing. Then we'll take off this thermostat housing. There's another one right there. Thermostat housing has the ones with the thick washer on them. I believe there's another one. If memory serves correctly, that is everybody. Yeah. And it just slips onto this tube here. So just give it a gentle. That is plastic, so give it a gentle pull and twist. Don't go cranking on it. That plastic will snap right off, and then you need a new lower intake manifold. But there's your thermostat housing and cross tube adapter. You're going to need that gasket and this little ring right here. When you go back together, I'll have the part numbers for you. We're going to get the water pump pulley out of the way. Turn this on to 3. Get on there. There. That's everybody, right? Sneaky little bugger hanging right out underneath the valve cover. And again, you want your drain pan down there. And there's your water pump. That's the hole that it'll start leaking out of when it's going. So next, we're going to get up underneath this thing and we're going to unhook the power steering and let it completely drain, because it has to come off and it's just easier to unhook it and let it drain rather than hanging it and setting it to the side. The big thing is when you take it off, set it in its normal orientation and do not turn the vanes. I've had these things have problems of building pressure after you take them off and you set them on their side. The little vanes don't want to spin back out, and you'll have power steering pump problems. But good God, this thing is nasty. So you just got to take that nut off, give this guy a wiggle, let all that drain, and then take off this hose clamp and let that drain. And then you can curl the lines up and out of the way so they don't pee on you, and then zip off that power steering pump. just for the tensioner. You idiot. Where's that last one? Yeah. Get to 1 3-inch extension. Which one am I missing? Oh, it's right there. That's right. We have to get that conduit out of the way. That didn't actually have to come out. So we have to get this nut out of the way, and we have to take it off over here too. Drop this piece down to expose the bolts that hold on that bracket. And that'll take the tensioner and this with it. That's my favorite. Pinch this piece, get it to drop down. Let me get some 90 degrees. Oh, there we go. There we go. Ah, crap. Need to get that wire. We'll just break it. I hooked that while I was up there. We need to unhook this AC compressor wire so we can just set the AC compressor up and out of the way. And then it's just a matter of get the alternator there out of the way, and then we can start taking off the front cover. Took off this line for a little bit just to get to that AC compressor bolt. I'm putting it back on so we don't get dirt and contaminants inside the system. But yeah, you have to take off this line to easily get to that bolt. There's another one right back here. And then there's one right down here, which you should be able to get to, just an extension. And that'll be your AC compressor. And we're just going to set it right there out of our way. Oh, no, we're not. Where's the other bolt? I can't see it. Jesus, take the wheel. I can't see crap. Right there. This is a 7mm. And it's got a cover over the positive wire, so you don't have to worry about it arcing out on anything. As long as your cover's still there, of course. Alright. Now let's get the harmonic balancer out of the way. You're going to need something that has a little bit of ass behind it to get it out. Today's harmonic balancer of choice will be from G&G Tools, the GGT-180. Not a sponsor. Big thing to do is just make sure that you get that bolt centered up. You'll feel it drop in because it might try to push on the actual balancer itself, and you could snap one of these. Alright, now we take off a whole bunch. It's like 21, I think, front cover bolts that have to come out. Ah, good start. We're off to a good start. I did not hit my head though when standing back up, so there's that. The 4 long ones all go in that V right there at the top of the engine. It's taking you a 15, so no, you're 30. Find your way. I think I've just got that 15 and the 8. There's a lot of spots that they give you to pry this front cover loose, and you want to do it nice and gentle. Nice and easy and slow with that silicone brake. Got a pretty wicked leak in the valley there, and they love to leak right here next to the AC compressor where the head meets the block. And also looks like I'm going to have some of the leak around our crank seal. So we've got our cover for the most part cleaned up. As you can see, it looks a whole lot better now. We need to get this crankshaft seal and this timing cover pass-through seal out of here. So we'll flip this guy over. Sometimes these pass-through seals will literally push out by hand. They're not in there real stout, but that one sure is. So just find you a seal installer that fits inside that. Now, before you take this out, take note of how deep the crank seal is sitting in the timing cover. It is sitting just beneath flush. There is no real stop for it. You can push it all the way through. And if you don't push it deep enough, this rubs against the crank and it'll rub right off and it'll leak. So get that main body of the seal just below the recess there when you push it in. So got our seal driver that just barely fits. Whew, man, that thing does not want to move. Tell you what, prop that up. Propped it up a little bit there just because it was hitting on that table so hard. There we go. There's our old seal out of there. And it's pretty shiny where it's actually supposed to seal. I don't think it was sealing all that well. And now we'll get this guy out of here. It pushes in from the front, so we'll go ahead and push it back out that way. So a lot of times you can literally just pop them out by hand. There's that guy. And I will take a little bit of Scotch-Brite, clean up this piece on the inside. I'm not saying go ape crazy on it, just get it to clean metal. That way that seal will make good contact with the metal. And then take your brake parts cleaner and clean that up real well. ready to put in our new crank seal and pass-through seal. Like I said, we want the body of the seal to be just recessed of the little boss here that it sits into. Make sure we didn't lose our garter spring in the back. If that little spring right there pops out, make sure you get it put back in or else it won't seal. You know, if you were putting this in with the crank still on with a special adapter, it's a good idea to put some grease in there to hold that garter spring. It's not going to hurt anything, like some engine assembly lube or something like that. It's not going to hurt anything because once it's in, you don't know if you lost your garter spring or not, but we of course can check ours. Alright, so we got our pass-through seal now. Like I said, it goes in from the back side. It's got the taper here that allows it to go in. Look at that Sil Glide right there. I use just a tiny bit of silicone grease to aid in it going in. It's not like it's that crank seal that has that gasket material on it. This is just rubber on metal, so this is only going to aid in its sealing. They pretty much get started on their own. You're going to want to find a seal driver that is a little bit smaller than it, not that much smaller. That right there is pretty good. All completely down below the surface there. Alright. Now we're ready. We've already got both gasket surfaces clean. I didn't bother showing that. I'm pretty sure you guys, if you're doing this, know how to clean a gasket surface. But Ford does recommend that you use their, don't touch those with your bare hands. I'll just shove them bang. These metal prep wipes, they come in a tub, but a lot of the dealers will sell you them one at a time. Don't touch them with your bare hands. I don't know if they help the gasket, the silicone seal, but they're definitely going to give you cancer, so just keep that in mind. But, clean this really good with brake clean, alcohol, anything like that. Clean it until it's clean enough to do surgery on. And then you're going to do the same thing on the truck. You're going to clean it really good, and then you're going to hit it with this wipe. I'm going to wipe down the whole surface, and you're going to let it sit for about 2 minutes. And then you're going to put on your 3mm bead of silicone around this whole area and around these 2 bolt holes, and then we're going to put it on. I'm going to show you a little trick here real quick because you're going to run into this problem. So right down here, oil is going to pool, especially if it's rained recently, and it's going to run right down your gasket surface. So anywhere that oil can pool, like right over here, wipe that up, soak it up the best you can before you start cleaning. Otherwise, you're going to see that your freshly prepped surface has oil running down it, and that will keep the silicone from sticking. So try to mop up all this engine oil that you can before you start doing your final clean of your gasket surfaces, if that makes sense. All right, everybody, it's been crazy. I bet you've noticed the clothes have changed a few times during this video. It's because the job's been stretched over 3 days because 1, our parts didn't show up that we needed. 2, we had some other trucks come up in between here and there, some administrational stuff. It's actually Friday at about 6:30. I just got back from the hospital where my wife is at right now. She's getting a C-section tomorrow because little baby Philip decided he wasn't having any of it. He wants out. So I need to get this front cover on. It's real simple. We're going to do our prep wipes. We're going to get our silicone on the cover. We are using our studs. Let's see if I'll show you here real quick. You can just go to a hardware store and find this thread of bolt lop the head off of it. And I like to sharpen mine to a point. That way it makes it easy to line the cover up. And this will keep you from smearing the silicone. And it allows you to line it up, for the most part, perfectly before you go putting the cover on. Ford has a special tool for it, of course. You know, they sell these for a nominal fee. Or, like I said, you can just go to a hardware store or anywhere and find you some bolts, lop the heads off, and do what I just did there. The longer the better, in my opinion. Get you a nice long bolt that allows you to make sure you're lined up good as you push it on. Alright, so we have our surface prepped with our special Motorcraft surface prep wipes. Make sure you wear gloves when you handle those. That is after we completely cleaned and degreased this with lint-free paper towels and brake parts cleaner. The same thing we've just done with our engine. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to put some sealant right there, there, and there, and goodness, right there. Basically everywhere that two gasket surfaces come together, like the oil pan to the block and the cylinder heads to the block. We're going to put a 5mm, bead right across those cracks. And then we're going to put a circle right there, and we're going to lay a 3mm bead along the entire exterior. And we got to move quick because this prep stuff will kind of get crusty on you. Yeah. Two more short bolts to go in these holes. Oh, I'm down one hole. We're just running these in, we're not tightening this. Okay, now we're going to torque those down to 27 inch-pounds. And it's in this order. After I set the torque. Alright, now we can get Vlad the Impaler out of here before I lose an eyeball.
Yeah, that guy.
Alright, 1 through 21 to 89 inch-pounds.
Go straight across. Over.
Alright. Oh, excuses. Oh, hell, I didn't run them down yet. Quit cussing on camera, Tyler.
That's all I know. That's why I can't have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, Tyler doesn't know this, but he's doing the rest of this video. I already told the people it's not going to be MedTech 67, it's going to be Tyler Tech 67.
It's going to be demonetized.
So leaving that in the video. Alright, so now we're doing 1 through 20 to 18 foot-pounds, not angle deck. Come on.
It's the only bad thing about those torque wrenches.
Yeah, having to sit perfectly still to switch it off an angle. Alright, so now we're taking bolt 21 to 177 inch-pounds. And now bolt 22.
No, tighten 21, additional 90 degrees.
I don't wanna! $90.
Yep.
Huh, that's over torque on my torque wrench.
And 45.
Alright, so get you a little bit of lube on the snout of the harmonic balancer after you clean it up. There's going to be a varnish ring there from where the old seal was riding. And then you're going to need an installer tool to pull this back onto the crank. Do not go smacking on the crank. The installer set that I'm using is from Matco Tools. I'd recommend it. It's been a good kit. It's installed every balancer I've needed to. It does take a big old socket. Now, once that's ran all the way in, you just get this started pulling it in. I don't recommend you doing this with an impact. I'm about to the point that my socket's going to want to slip off this thing. So it's fine, I'm pretty much seated. It's not going to hurt to have the bolt take it the rest of the way on there.